It's time for Q&A in the Kitchen. That's a podcast and YouTube series where tattoo artists and a piercer talk about some of the more common topics and questions those that collect tattoos and piercings and those that do them may have. Brought to you in part by Skin Kitchen Tattoo and the Axiom Body Piercing Studio, or Axiom Body Piercing. And
he hasn't decided. It's only been 30 years.
Yeah, it's only been 30 years. One of these days I'll figure it out. Just to let you know, we're going to talk today about tattoos and piercings. What is too young to get one? And we'll get into that in a second. Yeah. But first, let's talk about who's here. Right across from me now, because he switched it. It's like
we're playing musical chairs, okay, man?
It's like Alice in Wonderland. Change places, everyone.
Yeah. You skipped over the fun part, which would have been completely not saying anything about it and gaslighting anyone who drew attention to it.
I've always been in the same seat. What are you talking about?
It's probably eliminated at least 5 comments.
I don't know what Mandela effect thing you're doing.
Anyway, Jimmy St. John, tattoo artist at the Skin Kitchen.
I didn't do it.
And then we have Brent over here, Brent Starr, tattoo artist at the Skin Kitchen. Jack Lowe, Skin Kitchen. He tattoos and he owns the place. I'm DaVo. I run this thing called the Axiom Body Piercing Studio, or Axiom Body Piercing. I'm not quite sure yet.
Yeah.
Still trying.
One of these days we'll figure it out. I do body piercing. So on this one, the main thing he brought it up, Jess supplied the topic. We're blaming it on her.
Thanks, babe.
Thank you, Jess. Is about this tattoo artist in Arizona who tattooed this 9-year-old girl because it's legal to do that there.
It's parental consent.
Yeah. And I guess at first he tried to charge them $500, and then they said, yeah, sure, no problem. And then he talked him into doing an American flag. What was the other excuse or way he tried to get out of it?
He was afraid. He knew somebody else would do it if he didn't do it, so he did it.
Yeah, his whole logic behind it was, well, I had to do it because if I didn't do it, then someone else would have done it.
If this is Family Feud, this is where you get the big red X and you go,
worst conditions.
This is Pete Davidson's sister.
I will put it this way.
Are you in the park again? I told you about that place.
And the girl was really determined to get this tattoo. Originally, she wanted a portrait of Trump on her neck, and the guy talked her into an American flag on her.
And she's 9.
She's 9. On her.
I mean, we could have stenciled one on, and they could have washed and wore off in a couple of weeks. But
yeah,
the truth is stranger than fiction.
Sometimes.
Could have done henna.
Okay, so
who wants to start this one?
There's a lot of angles to come at, really. The first thing coming from, if this was me and I was approached with this today, like present time, present Jack, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I would not have done it. And it's not because I think what she wants to do is wrong or what her parents are willing to agree to is wrong or anything like that. Their choices are their own to make, just as my choices are mine to make. So for me, what I do and why I do it would not be helped along or watered or held up.
Yeah.
Or have anything to do with me tattooing someone underage.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And to me, being too young, I'll say not underage. What does that mean? But so it really comes down for me to I'm not going to really question, or it's hard for me to question the reasons truly why someone did it. Right. Is he right? Someone would have done it? Of course.
Yeah.
Because out of the hundreds of billions of people that are floating around, someone is going to think like you.
And I've seen enough shitty tattoos to know that people will do them regardless.
And guess what? That person was you.
Yeah.
So you decided to be the guy who did it. Yeah. So saying that, well, I did it because someone was going to do it, does not take any of the decision off of you.
Nope.
That just means, hey,
you decided to be the one.
of a piece of shit as someone else is going to be willing to be. I might as well take the cash and get the clicks.
I would feel like it would be his or my obligation to sit down and talk with both of them, the parents and the girl.
And I shouldn't have said piece
And-
of shit. I take that back. That was a little over the top. Sorry.
Well,
Didn't mean to. I'm not saying he's a piece of shit. I mean, I did, but I don't.
Well, you know,
I
you don't know
I'm
him
sorry
well enough to know that.
Right.
You haven't smelt him.
I
yet.
don't agree with it, but I didn't mean to say that. He's not a piece of shit for doing it. He just made decisions based on other things that made it right for him, and that's fine. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
no.
I had all right. It's all about me. Go.
well,
I think it's an ethical
what I was
question.
saying.
Yeah, it's just, you know,
If I feel it would be my obligation to sit down with the party and discuss just like how your mind is gonna likely change from that, and you're not going to like what you like at 9 years old when you're
45.
more than likely when you're 45, 20 even. I mean, that is something that I kind of feel that I would have to do. Doing the tattoo, I don't feel like, no, I could do that. I couldn't do that. But I feel like I would have to not scorn them or like knock the decision,
Just
but
give
just
them the
let them know
pros and
that
cons, maybe.
there's some stuff to think about, like some serious
Well, a
changes
9-year-old's
that are-
neck, the portrait, if you do any portrait of anything, if you do the cat's portrait on her neck at 9, by the time she's 49, can you imagine where that's going to migrate to and parts of it, or how it's going to look?
And
It used
might
to be
look
a
like a cone
dancing
head.
Trump tattoo. Now it's just like a whale.
Well, I mean, now it could look like a cone head. You know,
And anybody only knows his situation as much
right,
as
I'm not
his
judging him. I'm
situation.
just
no,
from my point,
I'm not
but
saying you are at all. I'm not saying you're. I'm
yeah.
just making sure that I'm not, or trying not to. So I mean, I have tattooed what would be considered underage before.
Well, yeah.
In Sturgis,
Right.
The laws are
It's a parental
very
consent
much
state.
the same way. They
Yeah.
are parental consent state.
Same in Virginia.
And I do understand where he's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody kind of has their own comfort zone and reasons why. And sometimes they're because they lie to themselves and justify it because they want it. And other times they try to stay as honest with themselves and kind of do the hard thing, but for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And we all battle that. So I tattooed I think the boy was 16 or 15 or something. And it was like a skull with a flag behind it, a little design that he had drawn up and wanted it on his shoulder. And so I had to decide, okay, well, he is young, but his father is here, his mother is here. They are sharing a cultural bonding family moment experience. And I know that father and that son talked about that tattoo, and that father talked to that kid about, you get the design you really want, and and to the father, it was something more than just, hey, the kid wants a tattoo.
Yeah.
It was kind of a bit of a stepping to that coming of age, that sharing moment between having trust and faith in your son, watching him sit down and agree to receive pain in a really scary situation for anybody, and have that father witness his son get that, and that son know that he's not going to be a fucking pussy about it because his old man's watching. So he's going to engage in that ritualistic kind of interaction between the father and the son, and that father's going to sit there with pride, and after he's done, they're going to share something in that was more than just this guy wanting to
Be the cool dad.
Yeah.
So, that's the problem I generally have with most people like that. Are you a parent or are you a friend?
Yeah.
And with piercing, my approach is 10 and up, and 10 is not a magic number for me at all. And what I take into account for piercing is the what would you call it? Anatomy or the growth of the person physically.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
We have to take into account the maturity of the person getting it done and the responsibility they're willing to take. And my go-to thing is, if they're on the fence about it, the parents, I go, would you give them a little puppy and say, hey, you are solely responsible for taking care of this puppy for 2.5 to 3 months, or however long it takes for the piercing to heal, and not intervene in any way, shape, or form. And if they say no, then I'm like, well, then they're not ready to get pierced. But piercings are also looked at as a temporary thing. A tattoo it's just a general perception that it is for the rest of your life. There's more of that. So I think it's an entirely different thing. I do understand what you're talking about. It's like, to share that experience, it's almost like the dawn of that child's, you've reared this child.
It's a rite of passage.
And it's the adult, it's the dawn of their adulthood.
Right.
And you're saying to them, I trust you to get this done, and I'm going to, I consider you an adult and a fully formed person. Some people, that happens at 13. Some people, that happens at 46.
Right.
It's, as far as the regret thing goes, I know people that got tattooed in their 20s that regretted it by the time they were in their 30s and had it covered up.
Yeah, that reminds me. I mean, I talked about it on a way previous podcast about a young lady that I did a neck tattoo on. That
you were really concerned about. I was talking about it on the podcast, and then like within a few days,
ran into her
for the first time since I've done it. There she is.
That's so wild, isn't it? Like,
oh boy.
You ask in the universe.
And I was, and I was able to settle that in myself.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It gave me a little bit of rest, it gave me a lot of rest, but in the grand scheme of things, a little bit of rest,
That's awesome.
and was able to talk to her. And so I take all those things, that's what it costs me to do it. And I'm not going to do anything that costs more for me to do than it's worth.
Right. Yeah,
so for me to do a young lady's neck she was 9? Not 9. 9?
9, yeah. That was the weird thing about it. Is
so
Nick.
Crazy.
It's really hard.
And a political tattoo.
Yeah.
It's like, not, I don't think a 9-year-old, and maybe I'm wrong with this, completely understands politics.
There's a lot of extremes going on here.
Yeah.
He was on the right path for the right reasons. He just got sidetracked by fuck it.
The lesser
Honestly.
of two evils kind of thing.
It's like, I don't want to help someone else out by getting this sale that I know I can get. So, if somebody's willing to be an asshole, so am I. I might as well get the cash because she's going to end up with it anyway. And fuck you guys. At least I got some money.
And
I'm guessing here. I don't know.
The whole thing with the $500 we used to do this when I had tattoo artists that worked for me at the Axiom.
Price stuff way out.
If somebody came in and asked for an offensive or racist tattoo, the first thing was like, that's $1,000. No matter what it was, no matter how big it was, no matter how long, that's $1,000. And that was we don't really want to do this price. And that's what he gave them. And then they called his bluff on it because he didn't want to make a decision. He didn't want to say to him flat out, I don't feel comfortable tattooing a 9-year-old.
Exactly.
He was trying to do everything he could to make sure that it didn't happen, and then he got stuck.
Yeah, and do you know why?
You got to have character to finish it out.
No.
He wasn't
because he lied.
Yeah.
Because he lied.
Because he wasn't honest. Yeah.
He said, okay, I got a price. I'll play a game. I won't be honest. I will do it. You just can't afford it because you're low class, and I know you ain't had the money, and I don't want to admit that it goes against what I believe, and it really doesn't matter why the reason is. I get to decide what I do.
Yeah.
He said, okay, this. And he's like, okay. Well, why would that be a problem unless you were being dishonest? If you said, hey, man, nothing against you or anything else. It's just not for me, man. Yeah. It's done. So, yeah, you can say, I would have done it. Okay, so you would have done it. You have no problem with it other than he didn't have enough money to pay you. So you can be bought.
Right.
It has nothing to do with principle. It's like, the guy's too broke. It's not my decision. I didn't have to make any decision. It was on him, and he's broke. No, just be honest from the get-go and say, man, that's just not really, I'm just not into that, there's a better person out there that'll do that.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. And how much of it is the moped effect of it's a lot of fun to ride until your friends find out.
Right. Well,
And it's like as soon as the industry started going, you tattooed a 9-year-old, then suddenly he's coming up with all these reasons.
And there you go. So how much did you get for the tattoo? How much was that worth?
How much
He
attention did you
decided
get?
That was kind of one of my
good or
thoughts
bad.
was the PR.
The
You know,
publicity.
is that pushing
Your 15 minutes of fame. Here it is.
pushing his name out there, and I don't know.
And that was part of
Is
the
that how
payment
you wanted
that
to do
said,
it?
okay, I'll do it. Somebody will.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody's going to get publicity somehow, I'll take it. So knowing that, he decided to do it.
Yeah.
So everybody's
Mission
gonna
accomplished.
Right. Everybody's going to have an opinion on it.
Yep.
And either way, he's going to learn a lot from this decision.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yep.
And back to the whole like if I wouldn't do it, someone else would.
Yeah.
I have adjusted the age groups that I'll pierce certain piercings on just basically because I've had experiences.
Yeah.
It used to be 16 and up. In the state of Iowa, it's unregulated, so they have never came up with a definite age. You guys have the advantage of them saying 18, nothing. Can't do it unless you're 18.
Yeah, in that regard.
With piercing and just the perception of piercing as something that isn't permanent, that's part of the problem with most parents. Like, oh, I'm going to let them do all this stuff, and then by the time they reach adulthood, they'll take all of it out anyway because they're going to totally change their mind. I had a situation where I had four families. They always kind of came in together. They were close. They had their neighborhood thing and everything else. And they all four came in because the daughters wanted their navels pierced. And I refused to do it because at that time I said I wouldn't pierce anyone under 16, and they were all 15. They went out and got on Amazon and bought a piercing kit. The girls did behind the parents' back. They had a sleepover. They all pierced each other with the same needle and the basement of one of these people's houses, and they all got infected. So at that point in time, I had to make a decision now, and you don't have self-tattooing as much, so you're not dealing with that. There are people out there that do that, but not on the level that...
It's a lot.
I had a client come in the other day to get her septum pierced, and her mom and her had gone to a beauty supply place in Des Moines and bought a self-piercing septum set with a barbell, a needle, and a pair of disposable plastic forceps.
That is scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. And instructions, like 3 or 4 line instructions. And everything was somewhat clean and sterile, but at the same time, it's like there's nothing there. That's a skill. That'd be equivalent to like, oh, go over to,
Well, even if it's clean and sterile, once they open a package, they don't know that they need to wear gloves or set up a piercing table or an environment to be pierced in, or after what to do with it afterwards, or any of that. They have none of that knowledge. So I mean, I could buy the cleanest, nicest tattoo machine in the world. If I don't know how to tattoo, it doesn't do me any good. I still don't know how to set up. I still don't know how to run it correctly. I still don't know, apply the tattoo. There's so many things they don't know.
The difference between the two is that,
but
you're not going to be able to find. Well, they are really cheap on Amazon. We bought like a $20 one. One of these days, we'll get around to doing something with it.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, they're not like to the point where it's like $10. You can pierce your, tattoo your sleeve for $10.
No, but like you can still get them for $20 to $50, which was back in the day. It was unheard of. I remember a lot of my handmade coil machines are $1,000 plus each one of them.
I think wasn't the Huck and Spalding like cheapest model? Back in the 80s? It was like
the Paul Rogers and stuff like that.
$125.
Yeah, they were a few $100, but that was in the the 50s?
And that wasn't even without that was
60s?
without the power supply.
60s, 70s.
Well, when I bought my first setup from Spalding out of the magazine, out of the back of a tattoo mag, I think it was $4.99. And it was like the super duper year extra cool special one.
Yeah, you
Fuck you
professional.
up special.
With a T-shirt that
Just
says
says tattoo artist.
T-shirt.
It's official.
I'm official. I got T-shirt and everything.
Legit. So yeah, but here's the flip side of it, I suppose, is if you give people access to things
They're gonna do it.
that they can do stupid things with,
They're going to do stupid things.
mathematics will tell you that there is going to be a percentage, no matter how much you fight it, that's going to do something dumb with it.
Yeah.
We were all the ones doing dumb shit with them when we were young.
It's a shame that everyone has to suffer for the lowest common denominator. A lot of people aren't allowed certain things that are totally competent and fine with, but because there's somebody out there that's probably gonna this, then forget it.
Yeah, I'd like to meet that one-handed person that stuck their hand outside the bus window.
And you know what?
Because they ruined my bus rides for life.
Well, it ruined their life for life.
Yeah,
so
I know.
I think they paid a price
Possibly,
for doing something stupid, like most people do.
Yeah.
And unless it's putting a pistol into your mouth or ingesting poison on purpose, go do stupid stuff. That's how you learn.
So I'm curious. Do they have a picture of the tattoo?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wonder.
Yeah, it's just a plain.
Hang on.
But it's on her neck.
No. He did talk him into moving it down to her upper bicep.
Yeah.
Are we going to use this?
A little better.
utilize
And I
this
bet
new
it's pretty
television we have?
coverable.
Oh yeah, we got to turn the TV on.
I got to Google. Hang on.
She's
Okay. Anyway,
She's got the remote.
So what I did was I started to adjust what I was willing to do on younger people, and based on location, how long or how much growth is in generally in that area. But it was basically a situation where it's like, well, if I continue to say no, they're going to continue to do this, and I had to make. That decision
you have to
on
make
my
the
own.
decision on that.
So there's that part of it, but I think with this situation, I don't know.
I was in Richmond one
this is
time,
it.
and I had a young lady come in,
Pop the TV on there.
and she was like, we talked about it in another episode. I think she was.
Turn on the TV. I don't know who has the remote.
She does.
I do.
She come in, and she was about, I don't know, 7 months pregnant. Like, she was a string bean of a girl. She had a huge belly. And she wanted me to tattoo her foot. And I was like, I explained to her that, that's not the safest thing. And I'm not okay with it. I'm not comfortable doing that. You can cause harm to the baby, cause them to go into miscarriage with, shock, any of this stuff. And I explained all this to her, and she's like, okay, thank you. And I was like, no problem. As soon as you have a baby, come back and see me, I'll fix you up. So I'm tattooing somebody else, and about, 45 minutes, an hour goes by, and she comes down, and she's got flip-flops on, and her foot's kind of halfway bandaged up, and she goes, the people up the street did it for me, see? And I'm like, cool, good job, there you go, awesome. I'm glad you're happy with it.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Done.
cool. It wasn't for me, man, sorry.
Yeah.
I understand the risks, and I'm not willing to take them, but if you are, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't want to be.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, is it?
I don't know if we'll have any sound though.
Yeah, well, I didn't mean for it to play anything. Oh, she got
I got
control of it now?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. Nobody told me.
Sorry.
We're working with something new here.
Yeah.
So bear with us.
It doesn't even look real.
Yeah, he did. You know what? And I got to give him props because this is the first time I'm seeing it.
There's
He
very
did
little
do
black.
It, right, and he knew that. He knew what he was doing. He did it with no black, very in a upper shoulder. It's tasteful. It's nothing, repugnant or anything
Crazy.
like that. And yeah, he did it in a way that does make it really easily even removed
when she gets
or covered
when
up.
she gets older, it'll be very light.
I
You know
don't
what I mean?
agree.
Do you want to hear what he said?
Is that
I don't agree with the excuses, which I think they are. I think that's just an excuse. I mean, everybody has their own idea of what they're comfortable with, and that if that fell within his, I mean, obviously he wasn't comfortable with the neck. He did talk to them. He did have some,
He's got some
empathy and tried to educate on why
Right.
he's uncomfortable. And it looks like they all came to an agreement that they were comfortable with. So
which is fine.
for a not gosh,
If you
9
can live with
sounds
that.
so crazy
I know
young,
what I mean,
but that's just my perspective
Right.
on it, and
Yeah.
what's
Wanna
that
hear?
worth? But
Yeah.
I'll give him props. He did a nice job. It doesn't look bad or tacky or gross. It looks like, honestly, like she got it while she was at the fair.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You
It
know,
looks like it rubbed on.
right
And
now.
rub off.
You can chit chat about child abuse and law and blah blah blah, but still, that's just a made up line of opinion that if you cross it, you get to be charged money. So, whatever. You can side with the people that make up the rules you have to live by and say that they wrote it down and they're better than us, so we got to go by that, so they're wrong. Or you can look at them as a person doing what they're doing and realizing that if it wasn't for these people making money off of every click, you would never know about it and it wouldn't impact you and you wouldn't have a negative outlook on someone else on the planet. So really, this is just a way to point out how everybody is so weird and different and how you can feel better about something and so gosh, where do
I'm
you look
kind
at
of
it from?
indifferent to the whole thing, to be honest with you.
I don't support him in it. I don't
right in the
demonize
middle.
him by it. I've kind of been in that situation before. I've been in that situation, really, in that same, like, I wouldn't, if that young man would have come in and wanted it on his neck or something, would not have done it. And he wouldn't either. So we're same, you know. I did a tattoo on a young man's shoulder. He was a little older. He was a young man. He was with his dad and his mom. You know, all these parameters. Nobody's right. Nobody's wrong.
Right.
And looking at it as a dude in that situation making that decision, I don't think today I would have made the same decision.
I don't think I could have either.
But 20 years ago I did.
Who knows?
Kinda.
And the other thing is that I'm sorry. Did you have something?
Oh no, I was just gonna say. I mean, that's up to him if he can live with that.
Yeah.
You know, like that's kind of on him to really just be the judge on like whether he did the right thing or not.
And why would he live his life by what anybody else thinks?
Right.
He's got it.
Personally, I would be like, well, yeah, I did it. Why is that a problem? If you're at that point and you're, one of the things I was thinking about was, like when I first started getting tattooed, they wouldn't even consider doing the hands or the neck or any place that wasn't visible.
If you weren't 18 or older, you couldn't get anything below the elbows or anything.
Not have like full sleeves and everything else that was visible, and that shifted. And it shifted because of the young blood, so to speak, and just and the attitudes had changed with tattooing. It's not as social as it used to be, but at the same time, there was people like if I went to Sherry and said, "Hey, I want to get my my girlfriend's name tattooed over the top," she would have laughed at me and called me crazy and told me to go away.
Yeah,
you couldn't get face tattoos. You couldn't get a lot of throat
and that's
tattoos
changed now.
We still try to.
Yeah.
I mean, I try to
steer people like don't get your first tattoo on your face, neck, or hand.
Yeah, because it's if they don't have any tattoos and they're going for the jugular, and
or your girlfriend's name really large across your neck.
Yeah,
the whole thing.
But there's somebody out there that's younger than you that hasn't been in the business as long that's hungry that'll do it in a snap.
Yeah, that doesn't mean I have to lower my standards.
Exactly.
Yeah, when I first started, if a younger person wanted anything below their elbow,
I had to have that cock.
there was it was. Are you sure?
Yeah, sure. It's this is a big commitment.
Yeah,
I mean,
any
below your
visible
elbow-
tattoo was a big deal.
I mean,
That was this one right here. my
People will
forearm.
still make snap judgments based on physical
Oh yeah.
appearance.
Well,
Were you
you
on
know?
time?
and now, and it's gone from that to, I can't count how many people under 20 that I've had a consult with and have tattooed, if not one sleeve, both sleeves on them.
Yeah.
Like to the hand, to the knuckles.
It started at the wrist and went up instead of the other way.
Well,
they did the knuckles.
No, it's not only that, Dave. They come in with a sleeve planned
Planned
like
out.
it's a sleeve.
Yeah.
Now, when I first started in the early 90s, if you had a sleeve in your portfolio,
You were badass.
Oh, dude.
no,
You were
Dumb.
badass.
you were like, damn.
You were like, holy shit, this dude's like, he's the real deal.
It seems
You know
funny
what I
now,
mean?
even to
Yeah,
me when
I
I
know.
think about that.
But back
came
then,
in
it
and
was
they
true.
got, on average, probably like a tattoo like this big.
Yeah,
You know,
if
and it
you
was
did
kind of
a
hitting.
decent size tattoo. That was first
Think of-
page. I mean, it was
Yeah.
kind of a big.
You
deal.
had to go to the conventions to see anybody with a portfolio with full sleeves that they had done, or back pieces, or rib panels, or thighs, or leg sleeves, or full fronts.
Rare.
It was just tattoo conventions was the first place I remember seeing them.
Well,
Like you can go to no shops on the street and see a lot
and
of that
think of
stuff.
that 20 years ago. Think of how many people you saw with a sleeve.
Right.
Very little.
None.
Not very many.
So it's gone from that very quickly to, I've got my bodysuit planned out. You tattooed my
Yeah.
dad. It's I'm 18 in 2 months, and I want to
Yeah.
set up 24 appointments to get my.
And it's pushed us to be better and do better.
So-
also, in regards
So
to that.
in that regard, in knowing that what he chose to do, where's the line? Where is it okay?
That's
when
the
is it not their
problem.
choice? I don't know. It really does come down to the parents, I believe. Those parents are responsible for the child, period.
Yep.
At the end of the day.
There's a local studio that has a high reputation
Yeah.
that does piercing, and they do 6 and above.
Yeah. But
And
not like,
in their thing, they say we believe that a 6-year-old can make a conscious mature decision on whether or not to get pierced. I'm like, have you ever hung out with a 6-year-old?
Well, I mean, it's an opinion.
Yeah, it's an opinion, but that's where they have set their ethics at.
Well,
Right.
I
And
can't
exactly
control
that.
that.
Right.
That's public. See, and when you're in that business space, that's up to them to decide.
Right.
And people will decide, I don't want to do business with someone who makes those decisions, or I don't mind.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they are going to bear the weight of their decision or prosper by it.
Yeah.
Everybody else can just kind of guess and see if they're right, or try to see if the people they usually agree with them, and if they don't, why, and what they think and learn and all that stuff.
Do they still do the baby ears? Like, remember they used to do that at the mall?
Yeah,
The little,
and I'll
like
get
the
to
little
that in
babies?
a
God, they would
second.
scream.
But I mean,
cultural
everyone
thing,
at
too.
this table has been in the situation where somebody has come in and wanted something you didn't want to fucking do, and you
Oh,
weren't
yeah.
going to do.
Yeah.
And no matter how much money was involved, you were not going to do.
Yeah, I
it.
just told them I was going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it comes down to that. It's like,
it does. You just got to be honest.
and that's
Yeah.
why when you see
Yeah.
really screwed up piercings and really screwed up tattoos of bad ideas, usually they come from shops that aren't very busy or well established.
Right.
And that's part of the
And you got to
part
think
of
of
the
this
issue.
too. I mean, I've worked in several shops before I opened my own, and there were some people that I worked for that didn't care what the F you think.
Nope.
Do you see this person? Yes.
Tattoo them.
They have money. Uh-huh.
You
and
better
they want
tattoo
a
them.
tattoo.
Dance
Right.
monkey dance.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do
tattoo.
it.
Yeah.
So you take their money and you
tattoo
do it.
them. Yep.
So, all the things we've been talking about. Plus, if he's under some sort of thing
Yeah,
like
you don't know where he
that,
works or whatever.
where he's kind of been locked into this.
Yeah,
tattoo,
man.
get him tattoo,
That's how
get
we
him,
do
get
it.
the money. Who cares?
Like
Just
a
do it.
street shop.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
turn.
It's seductive. It gets creepy, and especially when you haven't matured enough to have who you are cemented, and you're getting kind of pulled in weird directions, and you see this guy that you look up to and hope you want to be one day, and you see him operating like that, and this happens, and you didn't get a whole lot of sleep last night, and da 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 da, your girlfriend this and your bills that, and you do it. Who knows?
And you
man?
don't have the self-confidence to go, no,
Yeah.
I don't
Hey,
need this in my life.
Hey, you know what? I mean, I know we're nothing and whatever, but I would love to talk to the guy.
Yeah.
I would really love. And it looks like there was a video of him talking, and maybe I can get an idea of kind of where he's coming
I just
from.
don't know if we.
And he might have known the parents. I'm gonna
I don't
maybe
know,
guess
yeah.
that like maybe they come in and they've been regulars and getting I mean, who knows?
knows?
It's one of those
That's
kind of
what I mean.
situations
It's
we
a
can't
billion
really.
things.
Yeah, you're not giving all the backstory.
Yeah, we can't really.
But
If you need to, DaVo, you can cut this part out, but at least
Well, no. The problem is I don't know how
The audio.
how the audio would go. It's a weird thing about the
Goes
ATM,
by the name
and
Sosa.
that's the
Alright.
whole
See
thing.
what- See, we can read it at least,
Let's
or
see.
see what's going on, maybe.
Didn't work.
It backfired, and I couldn't just go back on what I had just
Yep.
said.
Because he wasn't.
I'm a
honest.
man of my word, and it wasn't illegal. However, it's something that I would prefer not to do. I got kids of my own. I'm not tattooing them.
Sosa says he's gotten so much backlash that he turned off the comments on his Instagram post. But the response to this YouTube clip from a local news outlet has some super angry and concerned, and others saying Sosa should have called child services or refused to
Yeah.
do it. NBC
That
News
always
was
helps.
unable to contact the family of the girl, but Sosa eventually agreed because he said the family, originally from another country, was appreciative of being in the United States.
To each their own. I was just like, all right. They were going to go get it done regardless. I was like, you know what? I'm a professional. I'd rather them do it here in the sanitized area.
Here's the thing. State laws on tattooing vary big time. For example, California, New York, Georgia.
Okay,
for
so
that.
yeah,
There is a cultural thing here to.
yeah.
And that's the other thing I wanted to talk about because you were
Yeah.
talking about infant ears. There are cultures where that's part of their
Yeah.
culture.
but at the end of the day, like I said, if he was honest,
And
if he was honest and didn't lie,
Yeah.
and just try to swindle them and trickery them and just said, hey, I do appreciate how passionate you are about our country, and I love the fact that you're here. But for me, it's not comfortable. Yeah, and I'm sure you understand that. It's just a cultural thing, and it's not wrong. But for me and how just right now, and maybe someday I will understand, there is someone out there that will do it, I'm sure. I'm not the one to do it.
Yeah.
But please do go to a shop. There is going to be someone that'll do it. I'm not comfortable with it.
It sounds
And if he would have said that, then he wouldn't go, well, I guess I had to get $500. No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
I mean, I get being a person of your word. I understand.
Yeah, but there was a lie.
But there was a
You have to
lie
stand
right off
behind
at
your
the
lie.
get. And that is.
You made a lie that made you $500.
He should have just.
Oh, darn.
He should have just
You
went
poor
ahead.
guy.
Or no, he shouldn't have done anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I would have had to backtrack and just be like, okay, well, I lied, and
Right.
I need to tell you that I just don't feel comfortable doing this. And
Yeah.
Or
I mean,
Be
or
honest.
maybe what really happened is you said, I don't feel comfortable doing it. Hey, I'll
Yeah.
give you $400.
So?
I still don't feel
Now he's
comfortable.
comfortable.
doing it.
yeah,
I'll
whatever
give you
price was
500.
attached to it.
But
yeah.
see, that's the thing. If you know what you say and you say what you mean, then you say, well, it's not about the money, sir. I mean,
Yeah.
a
Right.
$10,000, a $50 million, a
Yeah.
trillion. It doesn't matter. You can't swindle me out of my values.
Right.
Okay. My values are not for sale. And if yours are, and there's no way you can
That's
understand
fine.
that, you got some work to do, in my opinion, and I wish you the best.
You need to
But
evolve.
you cannot buy me
Well, a lot of people ask if I'll do a wiener tattoo. Like
for free. Usually,
I did
on
one
weekends.
yesterday. Actually, it was a
Hey.
it was a little
Little
2-inch.
wiener dog.
It was a little 2-inch wiener dog.
Oh.
But yeah. But I always say that there's a handling fee that they're not going to really probably want
Wanna
to pay.
pay.
But you are willing.
But I am willing,
Yeah,
because
and
there
that's
is a
fair.
price on that, and usually I think one of these days somebody's going to call my bluff, I'm
you ever done one?
I'm gonna shoot a price.
They
All you
usually-
need is a
they
bottle
usually
and
look
then-
terrible.
No, not on
They
that.
usually look
because they don't know how to stretch the skin.
I've-
because the skin is
I've
hard
seen
to
some,
stretch
yeah.
out. It's a challenge. From what I understand.
Yeah, you gotta
Piercing.
You
is
wrap it around a
entirely
bottle.
get that bat wing out and just kind of.
Now you're talking about the nutsack. No, to
Yeah, I
tattoo
can't
the actual
imagine.
penis, you roll it around a bottle.
It, yeah.
You hold it
pencil.
tight on the tit and you roll it around a bottle.
Just,
And that way you
Kinda
have
like
something.
lips, they would do them around.
Yeah, because you roll them with your finger. And that tensions the skin, and then it's got a solid surface to tattoo against.
If anybody wants to
Either
know
way.
more about tattooing penises, make sure to contact Jimmy.
Hey, man, when I say I'll tattoo anything, I will tattoo anything. I don't care.
bring your
expert
own
cock
Snapple
handler.
bottle.
Not any age, just, bring your own Snapple bottle if you can still find one.
All penises tattooed by Jimmy St. John.
There is a handling
Skin
fee also
Kitchen
involved.
Tattoo.
It will cost you an extra fucking $1,000 for every tattoo that wants
and a
tattooed.
heads up warning. He has cold hands.
I mean, I can
see-
sit on them before we do it.
And see, half of that though is it's going to be difficult to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you have to
That's
figure out a way to
really
do
what
it.
it is.
Well, yeah, if
Yeah.
you're being honest and saying, hey, I'll do it, but I don't want to do it. But
Yeah.
hey, if you gave me this, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Okay, great. That's
Yep.
true. That's
Yep.
truth.
And that's,
But if you're saying it because you're trying to
No,
not
to deter
say
it?
what
No,
you mean,
no.
then
Yeah.
you deserve what you
And
get.
it's-
You worked yourself
Exactly.
into a spot where you
Yep.
tattooed a little
Exactly.
girl, and now you're getting it.
Yep.
And it's common in the piercing industry
Yeah.
where a female genital piercing will be, let's say, $85, and then male genitals will be
Yeah,
$250.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Because
nobody
the
wants to
guy's
touch
got
them.
a problem touching a penis.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
It's like, nah, it's
Even
not
though
a
he
piece
has
of
one,
flesh.
you go pee every day.
Right.
Yeah, it's all skin.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's up to
And-
and like this
and
guy said,
say-
there's always somebody that will. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean
Right.
I'm that
Yeah.
one, but
Right.
someone
Right.
will
Somebody
for
will.
their own reasons.
And there are plenty of piercings.
Then
There's
that's fine.
And in
There's piercings
tattooing
I won't
genitalia,
do.
I can
Yeah,
tell you, I'd rather tattoo
exactly.
a dick than a vagina lip again.
Yeah.
You talk about it's hard to stretch. Yeah, you can't stick a vagina
You can't
or
stretch 'em
lip
enough.
around a bottle.
No.
Unless it's a really.
I mean, you can
there's
stretch
probably
that
some
around a
out there you
baby's
could.
head. I mean, even
Yeah,
if you
but-
get your elbow kind of into
I think
pre-stretch.
I think they get a little like
Would be, but-
leery when you stick like your hand in there and grab it and like roll it out and it's
That is awkward.
what are you doing? I'm just wrapping this pork chop up for a
Yeah,
minute.
it's,
So it makes it a little more difficult, but and
This
that,
is why we
that's
use
just-
forceps when we pierce them.
You can't hold stuff with forceps. and
Moments
tattoo
like
it.
this make me realize how lucky I've been as a tattoo artist in my career.
Yeah.
I've dodged some bullets apparently.
Yes, you have.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
People
Or
always
the
ask me
butterfly, or
about,
the wings on the
what's
butt
the-
cheeks, so they flap when they flop.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
see,
it's always-
that's
it's
what
always
happens when you
horrible.
find your clientele at strip joints.
Hey man, I just said it was a good start if you're building a
It's-
career out
I'm
of
not saying
trying to build a
strippers don't have
clientele up.
money.
And it's always a novelty tattoo.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
always something. I came up with this when I was drunk. I want to get a $100 bill tattooed on my penis so I can watch my
Well,
money
because girls like to
grow.
blow money.
It's a drag.
Yeah, that's like the most common joke on the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you remember the old rooster or the noose below your knees? Or you have a cock hanging below your knee.
Classic, yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I just did 3 camel toes yesterday.
Yeah, that was funny.
I'm glad. I'm
And
glad
a wiener,
that's-
man. It was a busy genitalia day.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
I'm glad that, they're
Do you remember
keeping
when
that
Smiley made me she had that camel tattooed on her big toe, and she'd come in every morning and she'd be like, Jimmy, shave my camel toe. And I'm like, oh. And she'd tell Buzz, and he'd just laugh. I'm like, God, this sucks. It was funny.
Is way different now, people.
Yeah, well, whatever. You had to pay your dues back in the day.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like we've mentioned before. Like,
you kids don't know how easy you have it.
you know, I was watching
Uphill to school in the snow both ways. Sorry.
Anyway, I was watching that high school movie where it follows the teenagers around for the summer and they're graduating.
Dazed and Confused?
Yeah. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I caught it was being watched in the other room, and I caught a little bit of it. And it was when this chick comes up to the other chick at the party and is like, air raid.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, don't do it, Sarah. And she's like, air raid or it's your ass. And I'm like, really? Was I that just stupid to think that meant anything? Did I see anything outside of just boisterous laughter at someone that took some fucking school senior versus somebody who was 3 years younger seniority bullshit, like you have to bow to me thing? I'm like, that's insane. And then the rest of the movie is like the senior dudes running around with paddles,
Yeah.
spanking little kids.
There's a lot of weirdness.
But it's freaking serious. Like, no, you need to be beaten by me. It's like, whoa, what the? That's crazy.
Yeah.
That just how things have changed, you know. And that when I watched that the first time when I was younger, that didn't seem weird. I was like, yeah, that's high school. It's weird though, as you age and you just kind of get along through life and you look back at how serious and how real everything was, and then you get past it and look back and realize how
anything.
it was fucking fake and stupid and laughable. You gotta expect in 20 years, people, you're gonna be looking at the stuff that you're yelling at somebody to air raid 20 years after you did it.
Yeah.
So come on, let's not think this is anything more than what it is.
There is, there is like a time.
You're going to make it as important as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Everything
things are
has a
going to
season.
change culturally over time, and
Always.
over cultures and shit.
We're on the wave. We're not controlling it.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
No, if you would ask me 20, we keep saying 20 years over and over again.
Well, like that's a long time or something.
Yeah, it's a good round
30
number.
then.
It's been 30 for me. I think a lot of things we would have, if you would have said, yeah, it's going to be really commonplace. You're going to get to the point where you can walk anywhere. If it's like me, nobody ever says anything about my tattoos anymore. I'll have people ask me that know me, or I'll have somebody ask like, "What is that?"
I still have old ladies clutch their purse and run off the fucking elevator.
Yeah, but that's because you're
That's
hanging
the
out old
look
people
you
homes.
have.
Yeah, that's
Weird.
That's your aggression.
Yeah, because
I'm not aggressive.
He doesn't growl.
I know no one
that
else
much.
that delivers stray cats to old people. You choose to be there, Jimmy. I don't know what you want. You choose to put yourself.
Everybody
around
can
people.
use his elevators to public elevator.
I'm not saying you're not doing a beautiful thing. I'm just saying that the people you choose to be around to help, which is beautiful, are going to judge you.
yeah,
Which I think is courageous.
It's the attitude towards those type of things has changed.
Yeah,
lately.
totally.
Slowly, it always does.
And as
of
I've
course.
always said, if you want real change in the world, just wait till those people die off. And as soon as they die off, then you won't have to deal with that crap anymore.
Well,
Everything changes. If you don't like it, just sit around for a while. It'll change.
Yeah.
Well, it's easy to it's easy to put all the pressure on yourself. Like you have to change the world.
No,
Like you have to change everyone.
Not my job.
Like you got to change all this opinion. Like why should I change my opinion? It's not going to do anything.
Not only did I not accept that job, but I didn't apply for it.
But that's the part where you're off the hook. That's true. All you have to do is one person. That's it.
Yep.
You only have to change one person to not be an asshole, to give the other person a forgiveness or that little extra room they needed. Only one person you need to change. Only one. Yeah. That's it. So you can't change one person?
It sounds cliche, but I mean,
it's true.
Be the change you want to see
It's
in the
true.
world.
Don't be the asshole that makes life on this planet suck.
Yeah.
Don't be one of the people that makes, when you're doing something and someone does something to you that sucks, don't do that, no matter what.
No.
And it'll freak people out.
Yeah.
And it'll make them realize that, oh, I'm the guy making this suck.
Yeah.
That's the
why
only
am
way.
I having shitty
Continuing it, and
Change
perpetuating
one.
it.
Just change one.
Yeah.
That's it. One. That's all you got to do. Anyway.
So, I mean, who knows? Another 10
Yeah.
years, it might be socially acceptable to have tattoos when you're 10.
Yeah. It's very cultural now. It's
it'll
in our
get,
culture.
I mean, I'm
for the
pushing for
same
the baby
reason-
bodysuits because they're going to be waiting.
I knew.
Oh, no.
You're
Yeah.
wasting, dude, they're taking money
Wasting
out of our
time.
pockets.
Telling us.
We're
There's
better
a
off
whole
we keep
market
it.
there.
Yeah.
That's that ties in with circumcision.
I mean, you look at it. It's
you
like
know.
Let's not get started.
I knew people that got sent to mental institutions for behavioral problems because they had green hair. Now go to any soccer game, 10
It's
and under,
acceptable.
and there's half the kids have green hair.
Socially acceptable.
the people
It's
Only if
just
that's their team
everything
color.
changes.
Well, you say, okay, you people decide what's acceptable and what isn't.
Yeah,
And they go, okay, this. Okay, all of you over here.
yeah.
Well, you said choose. They did. And man, hey, we're going to make $30 million more this year if we choose these people too. Hey, guess
Hair
what?
dye.
You have Booga Blooga now, and those people are included in this. You get a free stay wherever we put you.
everybody wants like that
No thanks.
easy answer for everything, and
Yeah.
everything is so situational
Yeah,
sometimes that it's like, like you were saying, like,
Answers aren't easy.
If some parent comes in with their what'd you say, 10 is the
10 is the limit, and even that, I'm going to go through the whole thing with the kid. And I'm going to go through the whole thing.
Very
with the-
situational.
right, and you're more than likely gonna
Yeah, and I
kind of
and
almost scare
I'm
them out.
flat
of it.
out. I don't. I always try to and put this in the kid's head and in the parent's head is I'm not going to be involved in any collective bargaining. I don't want to hear things like, honey, I know you're freaking out, and this and that,
right.
and
Yeah.
and
No
they either
coercion.
want it or
Yeah.
you don't,
Yeah.
and it's there. That's it.
Yep.
Because I'm not going to, I don't want to hear him talk about, well, if you do really good on this, we're going to go get ice cream and we're, that peppy you want and all that crap. I don't want to deal with it because it's stressful.
And you probably see a pretty good spectrum of like parenting and the friend rather than parent dynamic and
And a lot, but I see that in every client.
That's obvious coercion, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I understand being completely uncomfortable about that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a boyfriend or a guy bringing in a gal and he's holding her in the chair,
Yeah.
Or
promising her stuff to get it. It's like, what?
Or
There's-
Nah, I would never.
where I will separate them is if I have a situation where they come in and the woman or man, either or, because I've had both cases,
Yeah.
doesn't say a goddamn thing or ask any questions.
It seems weird.
right.
Like
And
something.
the other
Something's
one, the partner's doing all the talking. Then I'll go, all right, well, come on back, and they will start following, and I'm like, no, just the person that's getting pierced, and I'll take him back here, and I'll flat out ask him, hey, do you really want this piercing?
Good. Yeah.
I need you to tell me, because if you don't, what we're going to do is this: we're going to sit back here. I'm going to do whatever I do on the computer. We're going to waste about 5 minutes. Then we're going to go back out there and I'm going to tell him that you don't have the anatomy for it. Mm-hmm. And that'll be the end of it.
Yeah.
And it's basically because I know that person for one reason or another is in that environment.
Right.
And hopefully they figure out eventually, I don't need this person to tell me everything I need.
And that's experience.
And I personally do not want to be a part of it.
And that's why going to someone who's been doing it more of their lifespan than not is very, very valuable.
Yeah.
Because you're going to notice those things and aren't going to be going, okay, the placement on this, but no, you're going to be. I have to be comfortable with what I'm about to do.
Yeah.
That is paramount. It doesn't matter what you want, how old you are, where it is, blah, 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 blah. Before I even talk to you, I have to be comfortable to even do what I do today.
Yeah.
So then you have to convince me that you're comfortable, that I'm comfortable, that we're doing this because we want to do it. And if I decide for any reason along that path, it doesn't happen. It's not about, there's nothing you can say that's going to convince me that I'm comfortable when I'm not.
There is a weird kind of I don't know, radar kind of vibe that people will put out that you can't really like. It's just it's there, it's there. You're gonna get it, and you're gonna have to question it. Like who's this thing for? Like,
I've done that.
And I don't know if I've ever shared the story of why I don't do house calls.
They're always
House call.
I used to, for certain clients, if they paid extra, I would go to their house and pierce them. This is when I was first starting out.
Get a hookah.
Hungry.
No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
There was one particular guy who was very wealthy, who had kind of a high profile locally. And I'd done him and a few of his friends at his home, and it was all clean and fairly sterile, what have you. Then he called me one night. He said he was going to pay me a little extra, and I get there, and we've all seen the movie from, or the scene
Eyes
from...
wide shut. Eyes wide shut. Eyes wide shut.
Not, it's creepier than that.
Requiem for a Dream.
I dare you.
I'm thinking more along the line of Pulp Fiction. Basically,
Like before the needle or after?
I walk in, and I knew this guy was probably into leather and all that. There was just a
Oh, so it was like
vibe.
dodgeball when he got the wrong things. Gotcha.
So I walk in, and there's a guy tied up on a
You're going to give us details,
X-cross.
aren't you? Awesome.
I'm not going to go detail wise. We'll just say he was completely exposed. He was completely restrained, blindfold, gag, etc. And I go, I don't know what's going on here. And he goes, and I'm like, well, you want me to set up, because we set up in this room that was like kind of a utility room with a moppable floor and sink and everything. He goes, no, we're going to set up in the playroom. And then he takes me in there, and I see this guy. And I'm like, well, what the hell's going on? He goes, oh, you're going to do a Prince Albert on him and nipples. And I go, no, I'm not. I don't know if this guy's consenting to any of this.
Yeah, what's the
That's
safe
kind
word?
of important.
Yeah, it's
Pineapple.
like, and after that, I was just like, and he kept offering me
Did you
more
ever find
and
out
more and more
the
money.
safety word?
No, I never found out what it was probably Sugendesten. What movie is that? Like European Vacation?
And that's what I mean.
It's like-
you do in this industry, in this body mod industry, where people from every walk of life, and I mean every,
Yep.
from a nun or a preacher to the, how can you, I don't want to put anybody at the bottom, but you know what I mean. There is
the whole spectrum.
walk of life. I have cancer doctors. I've tattooed names of people that have died under the care of doctors on them.
Law enforcement.
Everybody.
Every
And
walk of
criminals.
so
Oh, yeah.
it's, you have to know why you're doing what you're doing.
Yes.
And if you stick to that and are honest about it, you are going to reap the benefits or pay the ticket.
Yeah, you get out of it
I'm not
whatever
going
you
to
put
pay
in it.
him. He doesn't do what I want. Well, obviously, he doesn't want to do
What
stuff
you wanna
you
do.
want.
In my
And
hope.
he has decided that he's willing to give up that money because of his
Right.
decision. It's not that he hates you specifically. He's
No.
doing this because he wants to get this out of it. And doing that ain't got nothing to do with this. So, there's someone out there, and when you're first starting out, it's hard to know where that line is, man.
Yeah, and
Because
I was
I've done
lucky.
crazy things.
I did too.
In a way, I was lucky because I learned that right off the
Yeah,
bat.
that's how you learn it.
And
Within
you
like
were-
the first 2 years,
Yeah.
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 Yep.
And my hope is that he understood why I was like, no, I'm not doing this
Hopefully
because I
you
can't.
We had to, right? I mean,
If he would have approached me, if they would have both came and said, okay, we want to do this,
Right.
and
In
this
that
whole
setting or
thing,
whatever, that'd
and we
be
got this
something
whole
else.
thing going on, and I totally want to do this, and I just want to do it in this experience.
Yeah.
As long as it wasn't weirdly sexual to me, I probably would have done it.
right.
If I didn't feel like I was somehow like bluffing the
Involved in-
situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
If
makes
I
you
was
a
like a
party to
third
it.
party to it,
I can't
and
get
they're
enough
just
showers.
because I've done like Wicca rituals with people. I've done not lately. It was a big thing there for probably about late 90s.
Yeah. I could see that,
Where
I
they were
suppose.
coming and getting their navel done, and they do incense and all
Yeah.
this stuff and stink up the joint.
Yeah.
But to me, it was just like, okay, this is a unique experience I'm probably never going to have again. And I'm helping them fulfill something. So I'm happy to be there. As long as I know everything's on the up and up and everybody's consensual, then yes. But if I get some weird vibe that you come in with somebody that I feel like you're forcing,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Yeah, that reminds me, I had a couple gals that came in and they had bones and they wanted to play this specific music and burn this incense while they got this tattoo. And as a tattoo
Headphones.
artist, well, as being, that was probably my first or second year tattooing.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So I didn't really have an idea of how crazy this could get. I didn't have to decide where my line was yet because I didn't think,
Yeah.
I didn't know there
Went
was a
there.
line. So I was more focused on where they wanted it and what they wanted more than this thing
Thing that was going on.
The ritual.
That's what I'm talking about. You were doing a job. That's it.
Yeah. And I did tattoo them, but I don't know if I would do it now.
Yeah.
So am I wrong or right or wrong? I'm not. You know, it was my decision, my brain to sleep with on the pillow that night and lie to myself about or feel comfortable about whatever it was. But, so in this guy's case, there's a good chance that, while he did it, he did feel, like he was upholding who he thought he was and why he was doing what he was doing. But, change can happen fast, growth can happen fast, and maybe this is one of those things that is going to give him that, okay, choose.
Yeah.
Was it worth it? And he can build his character on it, learn from it, become better no matter what he decides is good out of it. I don't think there's really any way you can't kind of decide, no matter what, I'm going to tattoo anybody, and I get joy out of doing that because it pisses people off in some way, or it doesn't matter what the world does or thinks about what I do. They don't have to sleep with my brain. They don't benefit or suffer from my decisions. I do. So I'll choose what I do and suffer or pay the, whatever it is, and you do you. So even though he made this decision today, that makes what's tomorrow? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, one night with yourself, especially after you're reading all the world has to say about your decision,
To the point of turning off the comment.
Yeah.
it's going to affect that. Talk about a chapter in a book.
Yeah, that's a big one.
This
Yeah.
is gonna affect the rest of his book. So he is writing his story, and I want it to be a killer, happy, awesome story. But I don't know how to make that.
He has to figure that
He
out.
does. So anyway,
So
I wish him the best.
I think we hit this pretty well. I think we talked about and covered a lot of subjects.
Captain Caveman.
I think a lot of it comes down to just motivation behind it.
Yeah. Knowing that, knowing what your
and
motivation
if the
is.
person's honest with
And
you about
being
the
honest.
motivation, like one of the things why I won't do Infinite Ears is because time and time again, when I ask the parent why they want to get it done, they say, "Well, I want people to know that they're a girl," and it's like, okay, well, put a fucking bow on their head.
Yeah.
I this is something that's going to permanently affect them for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
And they have no way of making that decision.
Yeah, I didn't want the damn bodysuit now.
And I understand there are some cultures where it's the norm. That's what you do. And fine,
Cool.
I guess.
Yeah, well, you're not and that's
I don't have to.
You're not
I don't have to be
demonizing it.
involved with it.
Yeah, you can choose. You can say, "Hey, you choose to do that. You get something out of it. That's great. Cool. If how would I know unless I know? It's not going to affect me either way. So if it makes you happy and it does something for you culturally or whatever it is, great. It's something that, though, where I'm coming from isn't comfortable with me, but I hope to someday understand more of what your culture means and why you do that. And maybe then one day I will be open to it. But for right now, I'm not comfortable with it.
It's like going to a Catholic wedding. You can either get up and kneel and get up and kneel and get up and kneel, or you can sit there.
Yeah.
You'll get yelled at if you sit there.
Say what?
Yeah.
You'll get yelled at if you sit there. I'll try
Oh
to
no!
the lady
When I was a kid,
screamed at me. I thought she was smart at me.
My
God will deal with those
little
people,
cousin I'd been playing with the whole weekend. He turned to his mom and he said, "Mom, why aren't they getting up and kneeling?" And his mom replied, "They're Protestant. They're going to hell. That's why. Kneel."
Yeah.
And but the reality is that we didn't feel comfortable with that. We're not part of that culture.
No, I'm Southern Baptist, man. Well,
That's not where we come from. That was not part of our upbringing or our culture. So to me, it would be weird to do that.
Well,
and speaking of things to do, like and subscribe.
please.
Hit that notification bell so that you're notified every single time we post one of these. Usually, we're trying to get back to the every 2 weeks with a new episode, and hopefully we'll get that. It's just we all have busy schedules and busy lives.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's really hard to just go, on their day off, we're going to come in here and do this. And not saying it's a chore, it's a lot of work that goes
But
into this.
one day in the future, we're going to have automation, and we're going to have all this time to
We'll just have-
ourselves.
we'll
We just
have
need
robots.
technology.
We'll have AI Jimmy, AI Brent, AI Jack, and AI.
In the great words of Forrest Gump, I got to pee.
I know I was
I got
getting there because I
paid.
was watching Jess get up and move around. So you know we're at that point.
My ADHD is strong right now.
Yeah, we're hitting that point. You can find this pretty much anywhere, it's a podcast, anywhere podcasts are. Also, check out our merch store. Links are in the description. If you have a subject you'd like us to cover, please leave a comment, email us, what have you. All the information is in the description on how to get a hold of us if you want to. Till next time, here's hoping all your tattoos and piercings heal with ease and without a single issue. And if you're in the Des Moines, Iowa area, we would love to see if you're tattooing and body piercing needs in the future. Have a good day, everybody. Take care, and we'll see you in that next video.
Be good, guys.